Yo, welcome back to undergroundwellness.com. And speaking of back, we've got Dr. Tom O'Brien back in studio talking about some of his gems that he learned from his gluten summit. You guys can learn more about that at freeglutensummit.com. Dr. O'Brien, last week you talked about the brain and some of the gems that you got from Dr. David Perlmutter. Today I think you're going to talk about heart disease and what you learned from Dr. William Davis. Tell our audience about that.
Dr. William Davis, the man that wrote the book Wheat Belly.
Good book.
A cardiologist, great guy, really smart guy, down-to-earth guy from Milwaukee, so he's a Midwestern kind of solid kind of guy.
Right.
We talked about how gluten can affect the cardiovascular system, your heart, your energy, things like that, and also about diabetes. And what he tells us is that if you eat gluten, you will increase the small, dense LDLs.
Those are the bad ones, right?
Those are the really bad ones. We think it's good cholesterol and bad cholesterol. It's not really that way. That's 1980s thinking. But in what is thought to be bad cholesterol, LDL, which is really not bad cholesterol, there is a component that is really bad, the small, dense ones. Think of them like octopus tentacles. They grab onto your blood vessels, and the blood's going by, but then the blood's going by so strong it pushes them, they break loose, but the suction cups from the octopus suction cups, they stick and they sink down into the walls of the blood vessel. That's what causes plugging up your pipes, or atherosclerosis. Mm-hmm. Wheat will increase the small, dense LDLs that plug up your pipes.
But here's the thing. People will stop eating fat and start eating more whole grains because they're heart healthy. So you're saying that's not the case?
Well, when they started talking about that, you see the incidence of cardiovascular disease goes up.
Yeah.
And there are some people that benefit from that, but the vast majority don't. The concepts are good about don't have a lot of bad fats, of course, and that's a whole other discussion. But it's wheat itself that will increase the small, dense LDLs. That's one of the pearls that Dr. Davis talks about. The other pearl, critically important for you guys 20 years from now. Like when you're married, have a couple of kids, you're in your late 40s, early 50s.
50s.
Yeah, well, okay.
Late.
Okay. Listen to this one. This is shocking. That type 2 diabetes, we know comes from, for most people, obesity can progress and often does progress to diabetes, right? We used to call it adult onset type 2 diabetes.
No, we don't call it that anymore.
That's right, we don't, because kids get it, and a lot of kids get it. But what they've shown, if it just continues the way it's going right now, if it just continues the same, let me say that differently, if it continues the same as it's going right now, did I say that differently enough? If it continues the same as it's going right now, by 2044, the cost of taking care of the diabetics in Medicare and Medicaid, just that cost, will be more than all the taxes the federal government collects.
So wait. Are you saying that diabetes is potentially going to start messing with my money?
That's exactly right.
That's not cool.
That is not cool.
We got to fix this, y'all.
That is not cool. And why is that? What's that got to do with wheat? Dr. Davis shows us when you eat a food, the body looks at the food in terms of sugar. It determines how much sugar is in that food, and then how much insulin does the body have to make. And that's the problem with developing diabetes, is that you've overloaded your system over the years, and it fatigues, and then you get diabetes. The body it's called the glycemic index.
Yeah.
The glycemic index of 2 slices of whole wheat bread is more than a Snickers bar.
What?
Yeah. And so every time you eat whole wheat bread, white bread's just as bad, what you get is a high glycemic index food. You make a whole lot of insulin to try to get that blood sugar level down, and you keep pounding it every day like that. Eventually, that insulin-producing system wears out. It doesn't work it doesn't work as well anymore, and the result is you develop diabetes.
That doesn't mean that people should start running out and eating Snickers bars, though, right?
That is correct. It does not mean that. You do that, and I'm going to say, what's the matter with you?
Seriously. Dr. O'Brien, fantastic nugget of information from the Gluten Summit. Again, go to freeglutensummit.com because there's a lot more nuggets like that in the summit. So Dr. O'Brien, thanks again, and we will be back on Friday with one more from the doctor.